Go.
Alright, what's up YouTube? It's Ben with Team Victory Star. Happy New Year, everybody. This is our first video of the new year. Welcome to 2016. I'm here today profiling a deck that I actually had some pretty good success with yesterday. It was my first tournament running it. We went out to Dayton, Ohio for a city championships there, and I actually took third place. Probably shouldn't have, but that's a story for another day. But I ran what I've been having a lot of fun with is the Houndoom Mill. So, let's profile the deck for a minute. Got 4 Houndoom EX. I know, it bugs the heck out of me too, not having play set of the full arts, but bear with me. What this does is, got 170 HP. For 1 fire energy, you discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. What's good about this is, it's got a lot of HP. It's a mill card, so you can throw a hard charm on there, and tank a couple hits and then super scoop it up and set up another one in 1 turn. Almost got a knockout with it yesterday actually, but it's not really the story. So, 4 Houndoom EX. Next, we have 3 Bunnelby, because Burrow, discard the top card of your opponent's deck, and Omega Barrage lets you attack twice. Pretty self-explanatory, and especially when you don't want to give up 2 prizes with your mill.
It's not bad to Rototiller either sometimes.
Very true. Sometimes you need that 1 card back in your deck. And to round out the Pokemon line, 2 Shaman EX set up. When you play it to your bench from your hand, you draw cards till you have 6. Pretty self-explanatory. Alright, that'll round out the Pokemon line.
Sweet.
Down to supporters now. We've got more or less standard. 4 Professor Sycamore. Discard your hand and draw 7 cards. Pretty self-explanatory why you want that. As I've said before, and I will say again, arguably the best supporter, most consistent supporter in the game. Next one, that same one that people give me crap about sometimes, but whatever. Professor Birch's Observations. Shuffle your hand in your deck and flip a coin. If heads, draw 7. If tails, draw 4. I like shuffle draw supporters. I like the hand refresh. As we like to say, sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit. That's the coin flip. And yeah, I flipped a lot of tails on this yesterday, but I was having a bad day with flips for the most part, so it just happens.
But we still cut, boys. That's what matters.
Still cut. That is what matters. Alright, next we got a lot of fiery supporters here. First of all, 2 Lysanders. Very self-explanatory. Switch your opponent's bench one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with his or her active Pokemon. When you want to pull something up to the active and stall, very helpful. Just run 2 of those, which I think is pretty standard.
Sweet.
Couple of his buddies here, 2 Xerosic. I was thinking about putting in Assault Vest in the deck, but then I figured, you know what, it's probably better to get rid of the energy than to reduce the damage done by it, and it's usually pretty easy with this deck. We'll get a little more into that later. But Xerosic is helpful because you can discard a special energy attached to either player, or, attached to a Pokemon belonging to either player, or you can discard a discard a Pokemon tool attached to one of either player's Pokemon, so that's good for getting rid of, let's say somebody put a head ringer on you, that's not nice. Get rid of it with Xerosic. Alright, next we got 2 Flare Grunts. Discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. It's good when you've got that energy denial going on.
Sweet.
Take less damage. Yeah.
That's a sweet.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I love Flare Grunt.
Favorite support.
One of my favorite cards. Probably my favorite card out of XY base set that wasn't a reprint.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that. 1 AZ for prize denial, or for picking up that Shaman when you need more cards or something like that. It's pretty sweet. I like AZ. Just pick one of your Pokemon in play and put it in your hand, discard all cards attached to it. So let's say you gotta pick up a Houndoom that's got 160 damage on it, which I've done before. First of all, it's incredibly frustrating to the opponent, and second, yeah, you have to discard the fire energy that was attached to it or something, but you're fine in that department most of the time, so usually you'll have another one. So 1 AZ.
Yep.
1 Hex Maniac. I'm kind of on the fence about it, honestly, but really it's just for Vile Plume, I guess. So just shuts down all abilities until the end of your opponent's next turn. Shuts down Vile Plume, shuts down Shaman, you know.
It's good for that Vespiquen Vileplume.
It is good for Vespiquen Vileplume. Next, that rounds out supporters. Next, we've got items. The standard 4 versus Seekers. Put a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand. That's, I mean, I'm pretty sure I said it was the best card in the format last video, and I'll stand by that. This should be at least a 3 of in almost every deck. Yep. There is almost no situation in which that's not helpful.
Only exception maybe being that Vespiquen Vileplume thing.
Yeah. Although, funny story about Versus Seeker, which I'll tell when I get to another card that's more pertinent. Okay, so, next, for Super Scoop Up.
Yeah.
Self-explanatory. Flip a coin. If heads, put one of your Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your hand. It's for that Houndoom that's got a bunch of damage on it, and you don't want it to get killed, and you also don't want to give up some prizes. Or just pick up that Shaman that you either don't want to get killed or need to play again. Something like that. Alright, next, one of my favorite cards in the game, even though it doesn't get to see a lot of play, Trick Shovel. Look at the top card of either player's deck. You may discard that card or return it to the top of the deck. Now, the funny story about this, as I mentioned with Versus Seeker, is that one of my games I started, I had 3 Versus Seekers in my hand, and that was it. I top deck a Trick Shovel, and I'm in a pretty desperate situation at this point. So I Trick Shovel myself, and the card was a Sycamore, so I discard the Sycamore off the top of my own deck, and then use the Versus Seeker to get it back. Otherwise, I probably would have lost that game, but that was really fun. But 9 times out of 10, probably 99 times out of 100, you're going to be using this on your opponent and discarding whatever the card is, because this is a mill deck, so that's just how it works. 4 Trick Shovel.
Now, quick question. Was your city's best of 1 or best of 3?
It was best of 1 in Swiss, and went to 60 plus 3, best of 3 in Top Cut, which I think is standard.
Yep.
So yeah. Next, we've got 3 Ultra Balls. I was running 4, but you don't really need 4 in this deck. You're probably going to start with a Houndoom because you run 4. You're probably going to get Pokemon when you need them, and you generally don't want to be throwing away stuff if you can keep from it, but it's whatever. And it also opens up another slot for stuff you can use. So, and then of course you discard 2 cards from your hand and get a Pokemon out of your deck.
Sweet.
So, run in almost every deck in the format. Next, we get to the really fun part. 4 Crushing Hammer. I love this card. Even when I flip tails, it's still fun to just see that, oh god no, look on your opponent's face when you put it down. You flip a coin. If heads, you discard an energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Any of them. It can be basic, it can be special. Doesn't really matter. Although, given the next card, you usually want to go for a basic if you can. I've always loved this card. It's a pain in the rear to people you're playing against. And that's Crushing Hammer. 4 Crushing Hammer. And then 2 Enhanced Hammer. This is a guaranteed discard of a special energy card from one of your opponent's Pokemon. So it's not as consistently useful, but it's, I mean, if it's not helpful to you in a given situation, it's a throwaway card for that Ultra Ball. So I've always found it very useful. I've always loved Enhanced Hammer. Honestly, a lot of my decks, even though they don't necessarily need them, I run 1 Enhanced Hammer just because Energy Denial can, even just 1 Energy Denial can mess your opponent up completely. So, 2 Enhanced Hammer. Now we get on to the tools. This deck runs 6 of them. First of all, 3 Hard Charm. Any damage done to the Pokemon this card is attached to by an opponent's attack is reduced by 20 after applying Weakness and Resistance. It's good for reducing the damage done to your Houndooms, or Bunnelbys for that matter, although you very rarely put them on Bunnelbys, so that you can take more hits before Super Scoop Up and just really irritate your opponent with that. So 3 Hard Charm. And here's one of the really annoying parts. 3 Head Ringer. Now you attach this to one of your opponent's Pokemon EX, and the attacks of that Pokemon are going to cost 1 colorless energy more. So basically slows them down, allows you to deny them energy more effectively, and also keeps them from putting a tool on it. So it's really frustrating when you get Head Ringer. 3 Head Ringers. The only actual one-of in this deck is going to be a Super Rod, because sometimes you just need one of those energies back, or Shuffle 3 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards from your discard pile back into your deck. Maybe you need another Houndoom, maybe you want those Shamans back. Just generally a useful card to have. Not always going to be helpful in every situation, but I like it. Here's where it gets kind of funny. In Stadiums department, we have 2 Team Aqua Secret Base. Now, not a lot of people have this card, so sometimes even fewer people know what it does. The retreat cost of each Pokemon in play, except for Team Aqua Pokemon, is 1 colorless more. So that helps when you Lysander something up and you want to stall for a couple turns. It increases their retreat cost, because, let's be honest, nobody plays Team Aqua Pokemon. It's not competitive at this point in any stretch of the imagination. So it's a fun little stadium. It also helps in the Stadium Wars, even if they've got a Zoroark in play with a Floatstone on it. So
and this is super good because it gives Pokemon like Shaman an extra retreat, so it gives it 2, and it gives Hoopa, the big one, 3 retreat.
yeah, I Lysandered a Wobbuffet in my first round yesterday. It was a pretty late game, but that's, I think, what sealed it for me. I Lysandered a Wobbuffet and dropped the Team Aqua Secret Base, a 3 retreat cost Wobbuffet. That's always fun. So that's it for the trainer cards, anyway. And finally, the thing that almost every deck needs, energy. 6 fire energy. You really don't need any more because you're always attacking for 1 energy anyway.
We also have Super Rod, isn't that?
We do also have Super Rod and, of course, Bunnelby to get stuff back. So, pretty self-explanatory. 6 fire energies. It works. Yep. So, that, ladies and gentlemen, is Houndoom Mill. Houndoom-Bunnelby Mill, if you prefer. It's a really fun deck. I highly recommend trying it if you have the materials. It's relatively cheap, too. So, that's all I got, I guess. So, thanks for watching. If you like the video, make sure to hit like. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and we appreciate any feedback. You can comment in the comments section. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.